Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. Oh, Davinu Chai, oh, Davinu Chai, oh, Davinu Chai, oh, Davinu.
Since last April, when the pandemic began, or just after the pandemic began, we began these online speakers programs. And this will be the 15th of our programs since the pandemic started last April. We want to thank our sponsors who've donated to support this session: Michelle Harrison, Lily Kaufman, and Rabbi Jerry and Bene Sussman. And so now I'm going to introduce the first speaker, and we're going to each introduce the next person. I have the pleasure of introducing Rabbi Gerald Sussman. Rabbi Sussman and his wife, Rabbi Bonita Sussman, who serves as vice president of Kulanu, are Kulanu's wonderful travelers. They have traveled across the globe on behalf of Kulanu to India, Cameroon, Gabon, Ivory Coast, Nicaragua, and Papua New Guinea. Rabbi Sussman serves as rabbinic advisor to Kulanu and to many of our partner communities. He has served as rabbi of Temple Emmanuel of Staten Island, a traditional congregation, since 1982, and he is the longest serving rabbi in the Staten Island community, which is part of New York City. He is a founding member of the Union for Traditional Judaism and presently serves as the organization's executive director. He was ordained by the Jewish Theological Seminary of America in 1979. He and his wife, Bonita, are the proud parents of 5 children and more grandchildren than we can count. They keep being new ones. Jerry, okay, so I turn this over to Rabbi Sussman.
I want to thank you, Harriet, for that wonderful introduction and for all that the important and wonderful things that you've been doing to keep Kulanu effective and growing. Well, just to start the story of our relationship with the Bene Ephraim in India. Well, Bonnie at that time taught at the Academy for Jewish Religion. We attended a conference together, and there we met someone who was a representative of the Abu Yadaya community in Uganda. And we were at that time new empty nesters looking for something meaningful to do. And it sounded just so wonderful. So we, someone gave us Harriet's number and we called and about volunteering for Uganda. And there was no room. And we felt terrible about that. But we asked her, is there any other place we could volunteer for? And she said, well, there's this community in India that I promised them a teacher years ago and somehow never did anything. Why don't you go there? So we did. And we arrived at the airport in Vijayawada, which was the closest community to the Bene Ephraim, the closest city with an airport to the Bene Ephraim. And Bonnie and I got off the plane and there were people waiting for us. And Bonnie said, how do they know it's us? And then we thought a minute and said, well, we look a little different than most of the people here. And we went in kind of a motorcade to the place where they lived, and I didn't know what to expect. But as we started, we went for quite a while. There were people on both sides, and then I heard music, and then finally we got to the place, and we were welcomed with garlands of flowers thrown over our neck. Well, a rabbi in the United States almost never gets a welcome like that. So that was a good start. Now, a little bit about the Bene Ephraim, that they say that they are descendants of ancient Israel, descendants of the 10 tribes, the tribe of Ephraim that was exiled with the destruction of Samaria by the Assyrians in the year 721 BCE. And from there, they were sent to Assyria. From Assyria, they emigrated to Persia. From Persia to Afghanistan, Afghanistan to Kashmir, and then to southern India, where they are now. Well, as Jews, we're used to problems, to persecution, assimilation, people running away from Judaism. And here we were meeting people in love with Judaism, who took delight and joy in every practice, every mitzvah, every prayer. And we fell in love with them. Well, still, it's not easy being a Jew. And we were told that just a few years before our arrival, the Lashkar, the same group based in Pakistan that attacked the Chabad house in Mumbai some years later, had planned that on a certain day, they would kill all the Americans they found in Hyderabad airport, blow up a Hindu temple in Hyderabad, and massacre the Bene Ephraim. And the police told the Bene Ephraim that it had gone as far as them sending people to do reconnaissance on the Bene Ephraim in their homes and dwellings. Fortunately, the plot was broken up by the Indian police, which has taken extra precautions in safeguarding them since then. And there was a reaction to it in India all over, especially from the Jewish communities in Kerala or in Mumbai. They said, we never knew there were Jews in Andhra Pradesh. And so this unfortunate incident sort of put them on the map. Well, afterwards, they were faced with a serious decision, whether or not to continue living openly as Jews. And they decided that they would remain open in their Jewish practice and Jewish identity. Well, on the last evening of our visit, everyone gathered together with us. And I remember Sadok's, the leader of the community, I remember his words. He said, well, we remain steadfast to our faith and our belief and our heritage. And somehow God will reward us for this steadfastness. And he said to Bonnie and I, well, you were kind of the beginning of it. And we hope that from now on, we will be more and more connected to the Jewish community and the Jewish world. And I think that has happened. I don't really know. I think very positively, we have changed the Bene Ephraim, but I know even more so that we changed ourselves as a result of this visit, because we've really devoted the rest of our lives substantially to the cause of Kulanu and of isolated, returning, and emerging Jewish communities. Because as a Jew, what can be more exciting and more rewarding than being part in our time of the rebuilding of the Jewish people. And for Bonnie and I think there is nothing better and nothing more worthy that we can do. Well, now I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Judy Clover, who is really a remarkably contributive person in her own right. And Judy serves on the board of Kulanu. She was born and raised near Boston and graduated from Oregon State University with degrees in child development, family studies, home economics, and health education. She has 5 children, 3 from India, 1 from China, and 1 birth child, as well as 2 very beautiful grandchildren. As an international child welfare specialist, Judy worked for many years finding families for children with special needs from India. She has served on many boards in Oregon and in her home community of Corvallis, Oregon, including that of her congregation, Bene Ephraim, and still maintains her connection, though she has moved to Portland. Her volunteer work for nonprofits has included editing and proofreading newsletters, websites, and blogs, assisting in immigrant programs, and traveling overseas to teach English. She has been traveling to India for many years, 34 years in fact. Her trip to India in 2014 and 15 included living with the Bene Ephraim in Andhra Pradesh, a Kulanu community, as well as maintaining connections with other Jewish communities in India. In 2015-16, she lived in Nicaragua, immersing herself in the life of the Congregación Israelita de Nicaragua. And in 2017, she assisted the Beit Din in Nicaragua as 2 new Jewish communities were born. She continues to maintain close relations to the communities in India and Nicaragua. In her free time, she rides her bicycle and searches for the best chai in Oregon. And Judy is now the editor of Kulanu's wonderful magazine. So here is Judy.
Unmute. Hi, thanks, Jerry. I want to meet that person because I don't feel that that's me. So that's funny. But thank you very much. And I have to say, I'm very excited to see so many people here, especially my friends from India and Israel and new friends from across the US and Canada too. I'm very happy, and other countries as well. So I want to just tell you how the rest of this program is going to go. First, we're going to show you I want to just let you know that the internet connection with India right now is very unstable. So we asked Keziya and Yacobi and their dad to make some videos in case we lose the connection. And it's a little bit unstable now, so we're going to show the videos and then they will speak at the end. So we're going to show you part of a video of that Sadok made, telling a little bit about the history of the Bene Ephraim community there in Andhra Pradesh. And you can see all of these videos in totality on Kulanu's YouTube channel, and they'll also be on our website. And then after Sadok's video, I'm going to show you my slides, and then I'll do a little speaking there. And then we're going to show you some videos of that Yaakov made just, I guess it was Thursday morning. He made these bright and early Thursday morning today, which was last night our time, walking around his community. So we'll see those. And then it's like a virtual tour. And then Yacobi and Keziya will probably be able to speak a little bit and hopefully answer questions if we have a stable internet. So anyways, let me just first introduce you to Sadok. Sadok is the founder of this community, the Bene Ephraim, although he and his wife Miriam told me when I was there, they talked to me about how they grew up always being told by their parents that they were Jewish. And Sadok, they studied and studied, and Sadok is the one who formed this community there in Andhra Pradesh in southern India. So he's going to talk a little bit in this video. You can see, as I said, the totality of it on the YouTube channel or on the website. So Molly will start that video now.
Our journey started in the year BC 772 from the empire of Persia towards Babylon and Ashur, from the Assyrian empire. So from there, Babylon and Persian towards Afghanistan, our ancestors reached Jammu and Kashmir and stayed many years there. Still, there are tombs, graves we could find. From there, towards the state of Orissa, we reached Telugu area called Tel Ain Ganim in Hebrew. Now it is called Telangana. We stayed there and we grown up many graves, and we stayed there many years. Then when we were in Telangana area, the government of Andhra Pradesh district, they included us in the untouchable community here called Madiga, because Madiga people will do the buffalo eaters, butchers. In the same way, we take Shahita, so they included us in that community. Now, in the records in Andhra Pradesh government, we are the Hindu Madiga, untouchable, lowest community. Anyway, we are continuing our Jewish faith, and we don't lose our faith, and we don't convert any Christianity and all. We are still following as a Jew, and we live as a Jew and we die as Jew. We are expecting the recognition.
I know that was a little bit difficult to understand, and I'll try to recap some of that now and in a little bit. But first, let me just tell you how I found Kulanu. I was an empty nester, you might say, newly divorced. The 5 kids were launched. My daughter, my youngest, had just finished her freshman year in college. And I knew then that I could start doing what I wanted to do, which was to stay long-term in India and keep traveling abroad. So I started Googling. I just returned from living a part of the year, most of the year in Costa Rica. And I started Googling, Jewish organizations that I could work with overseas. I was looking for an organization that espoused similar values to what I had, something that espoused Jewish values in Tikkun Olam. And every organization that I found either didn't answer or was not working in these countries anymore, and they would set me up with their partner communities. But I thought I could do that on my own. So if those of you who spent a little time on the internet, which I'm sure none of you have, but you know how you go down the rabbit hole. You start clicking on one link, one site, it links to another, more than 4 hours later, that same day, I found Kulanu. Somebody had a blog through some other site. I saw something about Kulanu. I clicked on that, And then I started reading about it and I went, oh, this looks good. So my goal actually was to work with the Bene Menashe up in Northeast India, and Kulanu had been working there. And I wanted to go there because I had read about how Christian missionaries were intent on converting those people who were Jews in Northeast India to Christianity. And I said, well, that's where I'm going. And when I wrote to Kulanu, Harriet wrote me back immediately and said, we don't work there anymore. That's Sheva Yisrael. But how about this community in southern India, in Andhra Pradesh? And I was pretty shocked because I had been traveling to India since 1987. I had worked in Andhra Pradesh. I sponsor some kids and families in Andhra Pradesh. And in the same general area of where the Bene Ephraim are, and I had never known this community existed. And I have always sought out the Jewish communities in India, doing a lot of research as I've traveled. So I agreed, and 2 months later, I think it was, I boarded a plane to India. I had made contact with Sadok, and didn't really know a lot about what I was to expect other than what I already knew about India. So I traveled in mid-November to India. The first stop I made was to go to a wedding up on the Pakistan border on the India side. It was a wedding between a Sikh, a young man, and his Jewish wife, who was from Russia but had grown up in Boston, and I had met them through one of my kids. So I went to that wedding, and that was very exciting. And then I flew on down to this very small airport in Vijayawada, which is now a much bigger airport, but it was a very small airport. And I got off this plane, and there waiting to greet me was Sadok. And I think Yacob might have been with him, but Sadok had hired a driver and a little minivan to come get me. So I got in that van and went off and drove off about an hour and a half to the village. And though I had been to this area, this region of India before, I hadn't been to this specific area. And all I knew is that India was unfolding before me, another part of it. And I had to be open to, I had to expand my comfort level. And I knew then that this was going to be a truly enriching experience. So about an hour and a half later, we reached the village, and the gate to their property and to the synagogue opened, and there was Sadok's family waiting for me. And it was just this, like Rabbi Jerry said, it was just this great welcome. And it also happened to be the start of Hanukkah. I think Hanukkah started that night. And so we were welcomed in, and it was just, I was welcomed in, and we started celebrating that evening. I stayed for a few months, and then I traveled a little bit, and then I came back. I came back in like February or March. I did not stay through April because when the temperature started getting to be over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, that was a little too much for me. And so, but I've gone back every year since then and visited. And before I show my slides, I do want to talk about what Rabbi Jerry spoke about, the Lashkar incident. When I was staying with the Bene Ephraim, Sadok's family has a nice guest room for me and for any guests there. And in the middle of the night, Sadok may remember this, about 2:30 or 3 in the morning, there was all this banging on the gate at the front, at the driveway. And I jumped out of my little bed, and I was like, what is that? And there was Sadok. It's in the dark, and Sadok is walking, and he's telling me to go back in my room. I went, okay. And the next morning, very early, I went outside when everybody was drinking their tea, which that's another story, the chai. But I said to Sadok, what was that all about? And he told me this story about how this basically a terrorist organization had threatened them a number of years before. And so since then, the police will show up anytime just to check on them. They showed up that morning at about 2:30 or 3 in the morning. They showed up one other time while I was there, but that was at 7 in the morning, and they had tea with us. So anyways, it's nice to know that they are being watched for, you know, and looked over, people are caring about them. So so here is the entrance to, when you come through their front gate, you'll see this is their little synagogue, and the house, the Bene Ephraim synagogue. Okay. And on the left, this is I think this might not have been the first night, but this is one of them. Obviously, it's not the first night because you can see all the candles there. So this is maybe the last night of Hanukkah, right in front of the Aron HaKodesh. And that's Keziya on the left and Sadok in the middle. And then on the right, this was taken actually almost a year ago. Kulanu, we did a fundraiser, and thanks to all our supporters, we raised a significant amount of money that we were able to distribute to members of the Bene Ephraim and their neighbors, because they had no work. Everything was shut down. This is Rebecca, who is now the oldest member of the community, and here she was receiving a donation to help her during the pandemic, during the early days, okay? And then on the top right, this is just a couple of years ago when I was visiting. That's me with Miriam, and I'm 5'8" and getting smaller, and that's Miriam next to me. So it's just that I'm about a head and a half taller, but I still managed to fit in these beautiful saris. Okay. And then below, this is last year at Pesach, Miriam with her grandson Rian with the Seder plate. And on the left, this is after Shabbat one day, and Moshe, who died a couple of years ago, these were his grandchildren, and they lived just down the path from Sadok's family. And Dina's in my lap, and these kids are really sweet, very special kids. And we always had a lot of fun together. And in the middle, there's 3 generations of women. Grandmom and mom were both widows, and then their 2 daughters. These are some of the members of the community. And then on the right, that's Giddy Gordon, who volunteered there about a year and a half ago. Giddy, she's now in graduate school in New York. I don't know if Giddy's on. I hope you are. If you're online here, Giddy, say hi to everybody. And that's Keziya and little Rian and Beulah, his mom, Keziya's sister, learning how to make challah. Okay. And Shabbat, that's with Keziya and her mom. We were lighting the candles there. And then on the right, I just want to show just a little bit of this video. Every Friday night, Yacob and his family were singing Eshet Chayil to their mom, Miriam. Okay.
אשת חיל במצווה ורחוק מפני מקבת בעלי בעלה ושאלה לא יחסר מלאת אותו ולא רק כל ימי היה.
Okay, and then some of the Shabbat prayers. One thing to let you know is a lot of these prayers, these psalms, the community has created their own melodies. Some melodies are what we are used to singing, that we know, and others, many of them are their own. They've been singing for years and years. And when I just noticed myself singing along with it just now. So I've been to those services enough. It's beautiful. Now this is Kezi who will, Kezi has actually transliterated from the Hebrew to Telugu so many of the prayers and blessings. And here she is reading in Hebrew, the transliterated version that she did.
Koneha hakol bezoker hasdei abod mebia goel ibne benehem leman shema behba melek ozer moshe umagen baruch atah adonai magen abraham amen atah gibo levolam adonai mehaye metim rab le hoshia mekalkel hayim behesed mehaye metim rabim somek noflim rofia holim umati rasurim kayem yehunato lishne afar.
Okay. And we'll see what the next one is. And okay, so then some of these are photos from the last maybe year and a half, I think, of holidays. Rosh Hashanah, this is at the little body of water near them. This is Tashlich on the left. Sukkot, this was this past year or last fall's Sukkot. They make a beautiful sukkah in there on the property there. And then Simchat Torah, you can see the little Torah that I think Rabbi Jerry and Bonita brought over to them. So, okay. And then Purim, making the masks, and Passover. I think this was probably not last year maybe, but the year before. Last year was pandemic Passover, so this must have been the year before. Okay. One of the special rituals that the Bene Ephraim practice is that they will slaughter a goat, and then they take the blood and they paint it on the doorposts of their community members. And that you can see them doing that on the right, and the goats there up on the top right of this picture and in the picture on the left. And there's a bowl where they put the blood. And that's one of their traditions. Okay. And this is at Hanukkah this year, this just a few months ago. In India, there's a holiday called Diwali, which is a Hindu holiday, and it's celebrated throughout India. Just about everybody celebrates it. It's kind of like in the US, how Christmas is celebrated all over. We Jews may not celebrate it personally, but we see it everywhere. And Diwali is like that. And so they have these little clay candles with oil in them and little wicks that they burn. And in some of the Jewish communities I have visited, including the Bene Ephraim, they use these, in addition to the Hanukkah, in addition to the menorah, they will use these little diya during Hanukkah. And so here it is in the shape of the Star of David. Okay. Okay, so I just want to tell you want to share with you that I spent many Shabbats with the Bene Ephraim, and that was quite moving. I told you how they have their own melodies, and one of the activities, or one of the things that I got involved in there was I realized when the community was reading the Torah portions, the Parsha for the week, they didn't, much like I used to be, I didn't know what I was reading. They didn't really know or understand everything they were reading. So I started giving Devar Torah for the week. And that meant trying to get good access on my laptop or on my phone and looking up what the Parsha was. And the challenge was not just to understand the Parsha, but to relate it to the people in this community, because I could look at a Parsha and relate it to my life here in Oregon, USA, the West. But to relate this Parsha to their life, that was a challenge. And so I found ways to do that, and they grew into discussions, and the community asked me to keep doing it. So when I visit, that's what I've done. And when I would speak in English, Sadok would translate into the language there, Telugu. And that was really, it was as much a learning experience for me as it was for them, even more so probably for me. So let's see. One of the things that Sadok has talked about and the people in the community have talked about is wanting to be accepted by the worldwide the Jewish world. And Kulanu has helped significantly in that. And we hope that this exposure grows greater and greater. They have been, their community is registered with the government of Andhra Pradesh. This is in southern India, southeast India, actually. And hopefully when the pandemic is over, we will be able to bring a Beit Din. That has been our goal, to bring a Beit Din to India for a few different communities there. And we actually had planned on it, but the pandemic kind of, took its, has a significant effect on a lot of plans, put it that way. And so he did mention in the video, Sadok mentioned being of the Madiga caste, and the caste system, though it's illegal in India, it's still there, and they are of the Madiga caste, the untouchable caste, and because of the work with the leather work and work with the buffaloes. And you did see buffalo in those pictures, and Rabbi Marvin Takayer presented some of the families in this community a number of years ago with buffalo. And those buffalo have produced new baby buffalo. And that is, these families who are raising these buffalo have earned income from this by selling the milk. And I'm very addicted. Some people drink coffee while I drink chai. And every day, numerous times a day, Keziya and her mom and sister would bring me little cups of chai, and it's tea made with milk. This is made with the milk from the buffalo, and every morning the neighbors would come by selling buffalo milk, and it's very, very rich. And I did gain weight that first year there. And I'm sure it had to do with the richness of the buffalo milk. So that has been a significant income producer for some of these families there, the buffalo. So I'd like to now go on to show the videos that Yaakov made. And one of them, the first one's going to be of their synagogue and their property. And then we're going to go into their house and maybe visit one of the neighbors, one of the Jewish community members. And then Yaakov has a little video that he's made talking about some of the things that Kulanu has helped his family and his community with. So Molly, you can go ahead and start that.
Hi Judy and Molly, Kulanu. This is Yacob once again, and good morning everyone. And today I'm going to show the exact place in this village where we are going to pray, and we usually gather for all the Shabbats and festivals. So that means which you are going to see now the Bene Ephraim community synagogue, which is a very small here. So this is the place Palam called. So here we can go. Here you can see the name board and everything written there on the synagogue, and you can find some symbols of Jewishness. And so this is our community hall, which we call it as a synagogue, small synagogue for our community. So this is the ark you can see here, and I will go and open that for a reason. And this is the place we usually put the Torah scroll here and to read. And this is the ark here. And this is the Torah, which I can proudly say that which is provided by the Kulanu people, the organization. So here actually my father sits, and he will do like a hazan. So every community members will sit here in this small place. And usually female people sit down and male people will sit on the chairs. So this is our little prayer hall. So I'm going now back to show you. So this is the back side of the synagogue. Early next after coming out, you can see there the Hindu temple, which is a Hindu religious temple next to our synagogue. So we don't have any problems with them, and we are good to pray as we like. And you just saw that the synagogue of Bene Ephraim community, where all the festivals and Shabbats regularly happen. Thank you.
There'll be another one.
Hi, once again, Yacobi here from the Bene Ephraim community. So we are now here in the village where all the community members live here. So quickly I will show you 2-3 families, 2-3 houses of our community members. So this is the house of Moshe Korahi. You can see the normal houses which is made out of leaves of thadi trees. So you can find some Jewish symbols also here. This is Daniel Korahi, one of our community members, and he's one of the elders. So this is his house, which is made with mud and everything. So you can see here. Shalom.
And the next one will be of Yaakov again. This should be of Yaakov. Here it comes. Okay.
So now I'm going to tell all of you that how Kulanu helped us to this community and to my family. So some bullet points I will let you know. There are a lot Kulanu did to us, to this community, but a few points I will like to mention now. So first the founders, and they sent Rabbi Sussman and his wife to this community. They traveled all over India almost 10 to 12 years back. So they stayed here for a month or 2 months, and they taught us many things about Torah. And Kulanu helped us to get a laptop so that we can study Kabbalah and some more Jewish videos online. And they provide the internet connection also. So still they are paying for that. And for the school children from the community, they used to Kulanu paid the school fees for some years, and that was a very great opportunity for us then. And there was a rabbi who linked with Kulanu. His name is Kloper. So he helped our families to buy some buffalo so that they can serve. I mean, they can sell the milk from the buffaloes, and they will be provided some money regularly. So that type of help also they did. And mainly I would like to say that to come to USA from India, that is also from this small village, it is very difficult, and it is very great process, which I can say that I really appreciated Kulanu, and thank you so much that Kulanu took me to USA and I was sent to Brandeis Collegiate Institute there in Los Angeles. So in 2016 that was happened. So Kulanu was very much supportive to get the visa and for the tickets also, and all of my traveling charges and spends there. And would like to mention that Judy, she was a very good mentor all the time, not only for that time, all the time. So
Okay. So thank you. Let's, can we go to Kezi and Yacob now? Kezi and Yacob and family, are there? Are they still there? There you are. So everybody, I'd like to introduce Keziya and Yacobi. And unmute, can you unmute? You have to, there you go. Now, so everybody, this is Kezi and Yacob and their nephews running around there too. Kezi, go ahead. If you'd like to tell a little bit about yourself, Kezi, and about your community. Oh, you're still muted. It's muted. Still muted. Are you able to unmute them, Molly?
No, there actually are unmuted. That just doesn't seem that it's working for them to speak for some reason.
Oh, okay. Kezi, for some reason we can't hear you, but you can hear us. Okay. So there's Yacob on the left, Kezi in the middle, Sadok, if you want to wave again. And if Miriam and Beulah come in, that'd be great to meet them. Maybe we'll just take some questions and maybe you could type some answers in and we'll try to do the best we can at answering them. But I've got to bring those questions up. Okay. So how many people in the community, or how many, and maybe how many people or how many families in the community, we could say? I think when I asked you this the other day, you had said about 30 families, right? Okay. Actually, what Kezi told me when we talked about this the other day is that the number had decreased a little because since the pandemic, some people had left to go other places. Is that correct, Kezi? Yeah. Okay. Let's see. And is this considered an Orthodox community with the women and men separated during worship? It's not considered an Orthodox community in the sense of what we know as Orthodox, but in India, in the different, the ones that I visited, maybe Shalva could speak to this also, many of these communities, the men sit on one side, the women on the other. Although in this community, I've seen the women come in and sit on the men's side in the chairs, but most of them have chosen to sit on the floor on the left side. And are all the members of the congregation housed together, or are they dispersed among other residents of the village? They are dispersed throughout the village. Some are near each other, but people are living dispersed throughout the village. Okay. Keep trying to get unmuted there, Kezi. See if you can get unmuted. Okay. And if you do, then join us, start speaking. Let's see. This one I won't be able to answer. it says, why is the synagogue called Bene Yaakov instead of Bene Ephraim? And I wondered if that's because of the last name Yacobi, because they are called the Bene Ephraim, but the synagogue does say Yaakov. We'll have to find the answer to that unless you can type it in here. But their last name is Yacobi, so it might have come from that. And Rahel Muslea, she did note that the Bnei Israel of Mumbai had this custom of painting the blood of the animal on their doorposts. She said they still do in the villages. And then when was this community first discovered and by whom? And also how many members of the, oh, we talked about this, and how many generations? Well, there are probably 3 generations at least now. And what Sadok had told me, as I said, is that his father and mother and Miriam, his wife, they were always talked to by their parents about how they had Jewish traditions, that they were Jewish. And so, but it was Sadok who organized this, although he told me when I was there that it had gone back about 80 years. So, you know, I would say close to like 85, 86 years now, maybe more. And then, let's see. Okay, how do they earn a living? Yaakov, maybe you, well, I guess we're not able to get your, the voice here, but a lot of the people work in the fields. Is that right? Still, a lot of the women especially work in the fields. And actually, Yaakov took a permaculture course down in south of Chennai a number of years ago and came back, and he was with some other people there in the community. They were doing some farming and then selling the vegetables in the markets. And now Yacob is working, well, the things have changed because of the pandemic. So Yacob had been working for a company in the state of Bihar up toward the north, but now he's working from home like a lot of us. Keziya is teaching in a local school, and some of the Kulanu supporters have been generous in the past with helping provide tuition for some of the community, the children there. So some of the students have gone on to, you know, they've gone through school. Some of them have been in college studying engineering and education. And they have various other jobs. Some of them are teachers, but and a couple of them have, I'm trying to think, teachers and doing engineers. One of them was studying to be, I think, air conditioner repair person. Was that Ephraim? I think he was studying to be working in air conditioning. So some tech jobs like that and appliance jobs. Do they have any contact with the 4 other Indian Jewish communities? Yes. Some contact, and Keziya has visited with the Bnei Israel in Mumbai, and they are in some contact with the community in Erode, and they've been to Kerala to visit some of the Jewish families that are left in Kerala. So yeah, and I know when I was there, we tried to make contact with a Chabad in Bangalore, but that didn't go too far. It's very difficult with a Chabad. And were they previously practicing Hindus? Yacob, were any of the families practicing Hindus before? Some of them were maybe, and some were Christians. Some of the families some of them have been Jews since they were very little, but some of them came to Judaism from Christianity, right? See if your volume needs to go up there. Okay. And while they're looking at that, someone asked about where this community is. And they are, if you look in the southeastern part, we had it on the map on the announcement for this, but they're in the very kind of southeastern part. They're south of the community. The capital of Andhra Pradesh is now Vijayawada. They're to the like little bit south and to the west of Vijayawada. They're inland a few hours from the Indian Ocean, from the Bay of Bengal, but they're in the south. Let's see, are you, okay. Are the community members all descendants of the traditional Bene Ephraim? Well, they believe, their story is that they believe they are, that they came down, and it was hard to understand Sadok's video. If you could go to the website later, maybe you could watch that. But, and there's some articles on the internet about it, but they believe they came down through Afghanistan into Kashmir and down into India to the south and ended up in Andhra. So they do believe that they're descendants of the traditional Bene Ephraim. And can the women sing with the men? Yes, sing, and yeah, they can sit also with the men if they wish. One of the things we did there when I was there was we did Israeli dancing, and I'm not real good at it, so we used the YouTube videos, and the men who had never danced before got up and joined in. And Yacob smiling, you remember that, and Moshe, who was about 70 years old, had never danced a step in his life, and he got up and joined us to Maya Mayim and Havana Gila. So yeah, so they do, it was a little bit touchy at first. The men did not want to dance with the women, and then some did, and the young people loved it. Shep asked, what kind of conversion are they seeking? I think Rabbi Jerry could probably speak to that, but we have been bringing over, I think, conservative and Orthodox rabbis. I'm going to let Rabbi Jerry hop on if he can to speak to that one, because of course a lot of the communities want Orthodox, but oh, you got the. Do you have it? Okay.
Yes, yes. You can able to hear, I think.
Okay. So how about, do you want to tell us, well, they haven't made a CD yet of their music. Someone asked that. You want to talk about how your community members are living, Yacob?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Is it okay now? Are you able to hear my voice?
Yes.
Okay. So, as asked by Judy auntie, how my community members usually do, right?
What they do for a living, yes.
Yeah. Actually, most of the members are agricultural laborers. They used to go regularly to some other landlords' fields, and they used to earn daily wages. And very few of our community members are doing some little bit higher earnings by doing some jobs like software and some are in government sector jobs also. And now the children is going to public schools by the help of Kulanu once again. So it would be it was very grateful, and maybe in future they will also do some good jobs, and they can earn and support the communities.
Right. Okay.
And
so
most of the community members are illiterates.
Right.
Yeah.
Someone asked, what kind of meat do you use? What kind of meat do you eat? And I don't know if you're able to do the koshering of the meat, but what kind of meat do you eat there?
Yeah, definitely. All the community members, they never eat outside food and non-kosher food. They never go to hotels, restaurants, which are in India. They themselves make kosher, and we are able to, some of the our community members are able to do the shahita. So they made themselves and they can eat only. Otherwise, they don't go non-kosher food in any circumstances.
Okay. And what kind of meat is it? Do you eat goat or beef or lamb?
Yeah, sometimes it is lamb and goat, and mostly it is beef and fish also. The goat and lamb is very costly, expensive here. So beef is somewhat lesser. Yeah, and in the time of Passover only we used to take the goat
And
just to remember the for the
Right.
remembrance. Yeah.
Okay. And let's see. What else? And when do you know when your community started practicing Judaism?
Yeah, if that question is for me, I can say I don't know, because yeah, yeah, because I don't know. From my childhood, I used to see all these Jewish things, and I never asked my father the same question which asked by you now. I just following them.
Yeah, I remember him telling me, and he was taking me around to some of the gravestones there, to the cemetery, and he was saying that it went back at least 80 years. Lily wants to know if other members who have left for school are connecting with other Jewish groups. Have most of the people stayed in the community around there in Andhra, or have they gone off to other cities? And if so, are they connecting to other Jewish communities?
Yeah, we usually live in the same place, but if sometimes if they want to go out for any works, they definitely come and attend for the festivals, not for regular Shabbats. They used to do themselves whatever wherever they go, but for the festivals, all will gather here, and with other groups of Jewish people in India, we are still making the contacts.
Good. Okay. And one thing, Kezi, could you just share with the people who are still on some of the things you've done with the kids? Because I know you've transliterated the Hebrew to the Telugu language, but you were also teaching the children about the festivals and about Jewish history and the blessings. And so could you just tell a little bit about that?
Yes, Auntie, yes. In my community, I am happy to teach children, those who are interested to know Hebrew letters, so that we can read ourselves directly from the Siddur without transliteration, all these things. So some kids are very much interested to learn Hebrew letters and with Nikud, and they are practicing reading some Baraka, and also about some festivals, those which we celebrate in our community usually.
Mm-hmm. And I know that you're getting ready for Passover now. Will your community, I know that you're still in the middle, like we are, of the pandemic. Will anybody be celebrating together, or will you be doing the celebration separately this year?
This year we are thinking to celebrate together with less community members.
Right.
But we are planning to celebrate together, not like last year separately.
Right. That was very difficult, I remember. Let's see. Did they encounter, so Asher wants to know if you encountered any anti-Zionism. Did they encounter anti-Zionism as a crypto, more accepted anti-Semitism? I'm not sure what that's asking, but have you encountered any anti-Semitism, anti-Jewishness, or anti-Israel feelings by any of the other community members, or in the greater area that you live in?
No. That never happened. In nearby areas, I can say in all over the Andhra Pradesh, in this state, we never see such type of things from other community members, other religion members. We are all friendly. Even I made friendship with the Hindus and Muslims very closely. They used to come home, and there will not be any problems. Up to now, there was no problem.
Yeah, okay, good. That's right. And Kezi, do you want to tell us what would you like us to know about your community? We're going to have to end here soon. We can stay. I do want to say that we can stay online and talk after people want to leave, we can stay on and chat some more with anybody who wants to stay. But before we close the formal portion of this program, I want to know what you would like the community, the larger Jewish world, to know about your community.
If people know about this community, that's good. That's great, Auntie. But from my side, what I'm expecting is, I don't like to do any special things to came out to know the people, this community. I believe that Hashem will lead this community as he planned. For that only I am looking for. And other than this, I don't have any ideas even. I always every day asking Hashem to lead as his plan. Some might don't like this answer, but I'm depending on this only. This is only giving great relief to me, so I could not move off from this.
Right. And that's wonderful, though. That's okay. That's good. And I want to thank both of you and your family for joining in. Please stay on. Harriet, are you going to, Bonnie wrote, Keziya would like to get married. Anybody know anyone? This is, I will say that it's difficult in remote or isolated communities. People who want to marry someone who's Jewish and raise a Jewish family, and yet it's very difficult to meet people in the same age range who are of the same religion and have the same values. So yes, this is a concern, and so let's open that up and send up some prayers so that Kezi meets her beshert, and hopefully that will happen. So
Okay, before we say goodbye, I want to take the time to personally thank those of you who have supported Kulanu over the years. We see many longtime friends of Kulanu in this community today. Your donations and volunteer help have meant so much to all of our Kulanu communities. In these challenging times when we can't be sure what turns the economy will take, your support is needed now more than ever. Each community has immediate needs, and some of these are of an emergency nature. We thank you in advance for whatever you can do to ease these burdens, these financial burdens. We appreciate each donor, whether you are able to donate $18 or $10,000. In each case, we hope you'll dig deep in your pocket to support this work. Please go to https://kulanu.org/donate